Mr. Ryan Divish, Inside Pitch with Divish, all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Normally, we just give it to the Pucks Posse, and then we play a little snippet here on a Wednesday, but now we get them live. How are you, sir?
Well, my internet connection is better now. So,
Ryan and we had some internet problems early this morning from Divish's rental car, but it's much better.
Yeah, it's my phone. My phone is like an iPhone 10 or 11, so I probably need to upgrade it. But, I'm pretty hard on him. I'm surprised this one has lasted as long as it has. I've thrown it a few times, but,
I'm going to ask you something. As someone that is newly engaged, will be getting married soon. I don't know if you've caught this, but the go-to guy's wife is in the hospital. She's got pneumonia, right? Mm-hmm. And so she's told him, hey, you can just go home. Don't worry. You don't have to stay here. And he's like, you sure? She goes, hey, yeah, no problem. You're Mrs. Divish, soon to be Mrs. Divish, is in the hospital with pneumonia. I mean, you going to the ballpark to cover a game? You're going to stay in the hospital. What you can only choose one.
You're leaving to go get her something, whether it's gum or something, and then you're coming back. That's the only way you're leaving. You don't leave. I mean, in the battle of things that you want, if you ever want to play golf again or something like that, you don't leave. Even when it's a trap. It's a trap when they say it's okay.
That's what I told them. That's what I told him. It's a trap. It's exactly.
It's Admiral Akbar from Return of the Jedi screaming, "It's a trap! It's a trap!" Like, you do not. They are wise to our ways, and they are smarter than us when it comes to this stuff. So
they are very much smarter than us. He is. I know. God, I just told him. I said, I don't know if you're making the right choice here, man. But hey, if she told you to go, well, and then it was like, well, how many times did she tell you to go? Well, just once, and then he went. Well, you got to give it at least 3 times. 3 times where you keep going back and asking, you sure it's okay before you actually go? But
what you should do is just annoy her to the point where she kicks you out. Then you don't have to ask. You just, start messing with the TV, do stuff, do things that would force her to not want you in the room. That's what I would do.
You have a story, a couple great stories out. One, the JP Crawford story that's out right now, SeattleTimes.com. It's also in the hard copy of today's Wednesday's Seattle Times. Also, yesterday you projected the opening day roster, what you think it will look like. Well, I want to get you up to date on both of those stories. Also on Bryce Miller. I want to start with Ryan Sloan, your partner in crime. Adam Jude was on the show Monday. Wanted to get him on and talk about him catching Munoz. I want to get your thoughts on that as well, of watching what he did there with Andres Munoz. But he offered this up. Now, he loves pitchers.
Yeah.
And that. Everyone who knows Adam understands that. He offered this up when I asked him about Ryan Sloan. I wanted you to give it a listen.
Sloan, I think his ceiling, I have no issue saying this, his ceiling is higher than Kate Anderson and might be considerably higher. Again, his floor is probably lower too, just because you never know, a 20-year-old right-handed pitcher, but he's 6'5", 230 pounds. He looks like Garrett Cole. He throws like Garrett Cole. And then when I asked him, I said, well, what's your favorite pitch? You've got a lot of them here. And he just introduced a 2-seamer too. That's up to 99, 100 miles an hour. He's like, oh, my changeup still. I'm like, who says that? What 20-year-old kid who's 6'5", 230 pounds can throw 100 miles an hour with 2 fastballs? And he says his favorite pitch is a changeup. I was talking to Mitch Garver about it. He had to face him in a live. His first live coming back was Ryan Sloan, and then he caught him a couple days later. And he's just like, his first thought was like, I don't know what hitters are going to do in the future. This isn't fair.
All right, Divish, you heard that. You've seen Ryan Sloan. What is your takeaway from seeing the 20-year-old up close and personal?
Yeah, I mean, he has like a young Garrett Cole. He just doesn't have the Kermit the Frog voice. So, yeah, everything about him is just different. he throws hard. He's implemented a 2-seam fastball that's just nasty. He just hasn't used it in a game yet. He got the cutter plus a breaking ball plus the changeup, which is nasty and throws it at 90 miles an hour sometimes. He has all the potential to be good. He's the best pitching prospect the Mariners ever had in the Jerry Dipoto era. I think, given that he's 20. Like Logan came in at 22, I believe, and George at 21. They were more finished products, but the ceiling wasn't as high as this kid. Like talking with some of the people within the organization, they believe like as Adam said, that like he can reach different levels. Like he profiles as a frontline number one starter, and not very many guys are like that. Like there was debate whether Logan or George was a 1 or a 2, but like there's no debate that if this guy stays healthy and continues to grow, that he can be that kind of horse that you look at as, one of the 10 best pitchers in baseball. And that's crazy we're saying that, but that's how talented he is.
Wow.
I mean, everything he does, like he throws that fastball and they say it's got cut ride, which means that like when he throws his 4-seam fastball, it stays on plane, it doesn't deviate, and it starts to cut away from right-handed hitters or cut in on the hitters of right-hand or left-handers. It's not something that you teach. It's just something that sort of happens and it's natural, and it's like makes his fastball that much more deadly. So I've been really impressed. I don't think that he should be in the rotation right now. I think he's still got a lot to do. I mean, he even admitted like last year he had some struggles, and as he moved up the level, it became more difficult. But all signs lead to this guy being something very special down the road. I mean, those two kids, it's going to make the idea that if they lose Kirby or Gilbert to free agency down the road, it makes it a little less painful knowing you've got some guys in the stable, and you're not having to go out and spend $210 million on a starter, which they would never do anyways.
But I get the impression, you correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm wrong a lot. I'm getting the impression that these two are in the rotation next year.
One of them could be. I don't know if both of them will be. It just depends. There's attrition. You don't know what's going to happen. Cade's never even pitched in a big league or in a professional game. Like the first game he pitched in a Mariners uniform was the other day. He hasn't thrown technically a professional inning yet. So I think that could we see either of them debut this year? Yeah, I think we could. If there's attrition or whatever at some point, I think we could see both of them, make a debut. But that doesn't mean they're locked in. They'll have some hard questions next year. We've talked about it before. If they don't figure out what they want to do with Logan Gilbert and they go into his walk year, what they want to do, whether they want to move him and try and get something and put one of these kids in the rotation, right, or if they try and play it out and hope that they can sign him to an extension or whatever, do the qualifying offer or something like that. Because, again, Logan's so popular in the clubhouse. I think ideally they'd love to extend him, but whether that happens or not, I don't know.
I guess I just look at big picture. If they continue and they have a very successful season, whatever that is, they start. But right, we talked about this before. Then Everett, and then they would go to Arkansas. And if they just put together a solid season, if they were to go next year into spring training with every opportunity to make the team, let's say they do, I guess now you're looking at, well, now we've got this. And it's a great problem to have all these starting pitchers. But where would they go with that situation? Do you think, obviously, if one of them makes their debuts this year, I think we chatted about this before, would you see Sloan, you think, out of the bullpen late in the season? You think they would use him in that role?
Maybe just, it's a way to control the innings and a way to get his feet wet at the big league level without having to pitch him, 5-6 innings. It all depends on the circumstances and what their bullpen is like. But, you do get the extra reliever late in the year. So maybe you have him as a long guy or Anderson as a long guy that you can stretch out or use, and see what they do. I mean, it isn't uncommon to see like maybe a stud prospect that throws really hard come in and influence the playoffs as a reliever. We've seen that in the past, and that may be something like, the Savage kid this year, obviously, comes in and helps Toronto out. So I don't think that that's an impossibility. And I do think too, like, I think their hope is they get 130 starts from their main 5 guys, at least 130. Is that realistic or not? I don't think we're going to see them get 150 out of those guys. So, there's going to be times where somebody's going to be down and they're going to have to lean on some people. I don't think it'll be Ryan Sloan and Kate Anderson initially. It'll be Emerson Hancock, who's pitched really, really well down here. But at some point, if there is attrition, we could see one of those guys. If they're pitching well, they get up to AA and they're pitching well, we could see one of those guys, because it's not, would you rather try the inexperience of somebody like Kate Anderson, though, he's got a legitimate big league pitch mix, versus maybe somebody like Casey Lawrence, who is just kind of piecing it together and it's a spot start guy. It may be based on if there's a need for a longer stint of pitching versus if it's just a one-time fill-in spot start.
It's just, again, a good problem to have. Two great young pitchers there to watch. Let's get an update on one of their guys that's in the rotation right now, Bryce Miller. What's the latest with Miller with that oblique?
I played catch yesterday. It didn't seem like there was any issues. And like Dan Wilson, we asked Dan about it, if he got any reports. He said he hadn't, but if it's good, he's not usually going to get reports. But if it was bad, somebody would have said something to him. So all indications are it went fine. It looked like he's been doing stuff the last few days. So my anticipation is he'll play catch the next few days and probably get on a mound. What is today anyways? Is today Wednesday? Yeah, they all run together down here. I don't have a day off. I work every day, so I don't know what the weekend is or not.
Most people work every day, right?
Yeah. Let me know about that on Saturday and Sunday here coming up.
You're watching baseball.
I know, but if you want to write 2,000 words every day, you just let me know.
Put it into Chat GPT. Hey, Mariners won 4-3. Spit it out.
Yeah, let's not go there.
I'm sure some people are doing it.
I think today is Wednesday. I think we could see him throwing a bullpen, 3 days from now. If he plays catch, and then then he's back on track. I mean, it's not like his arm got out of shape in 4 days without doing anything. So I think he'll be fine.
Let's go to the before we get to JP Crawford, the story that you have in today's paper, and then we get to the roster. Let's go back to Adam Jude. We started this talking about Ryan Sloan, the Jude thing. I think secretly you were hoping that Jude would get hurt catching Munoz.
No, because if he gets hurt, let's say he breaks a thumb or a wrist, then who has to do more work in this situation? Me. And from selfish terms, I didn't want him to get hurt. I thought he probably was going to. Mostly I thought he was going to take one in the jewels and be done for a while, even with the cup, because he couldn't get into
he
a
had
squat
a bad
properly.
Stance. Yeah, you needed to get him in there and get out of that stance he was in.
He's the least flexible human being I've ever seen. He can't touch his toes, let alone get into a crouch. Oof. Meanwhile, when we're doing the training leading up to it, we're using the pitching machines in the Mariners cages and got him locked in. We got his son there, and so then I get in there and test it first, and I just drop down into the crouch. Now I can't do it like the old days, but I can get into a one-knee crouch and sit pretty low. And so I was testing it all out with no mask or anything, just catching them. And then he'd get on with a full gear and still go to the side right away before catching it. I mean, it's not easy. As somebody that I'd caught a little bit when I was in high school and a little bit when I was younger, but when I got converted to catcher and it was like a full-time thing, it was, there were I took a lot of bruises to the forearms and stuff and missed balls and made mistakes. And, it's not easy. And then to go in and catch somebody like Munoz who throws and has as much natural movement. I caught kids throwing 90 in college, but they don't move like Andres Munoz moves, And so
I thought he did great.
Yeah, no, I did too. And as Jerry DePoto told me, he goes, that was the most middle that Andres Munoz has ever thrown in his life. Munoz found a new level of command to get it right down the center to help out Adam. We didn't throw him the two-seamer, and I think the one time where Andres really let it go on a four-seamer, it was 99. It just went the ball was past Jude before he reacted to catch it. Was pretty amusing. I think the best part of the round was being there for the week leading up to it with his son there, and just the derision that his son had for his dad, because he was you're just an idiot every day. He would think of different ways to embarrass Grady when he was doing this stuff. So no, it was cool. It turned out really well. Yeah. Everyone was well, why aren't you doing it? And I was because I'm not having a midlife crisis. Most people buy a sports car. Adam does this. I don't know, but
I want you to sit in there and face live pitching.
No.
That's what I want.
You guys were talking about fast pitch. I've been playing fast pitch still, and
Yeah.
and throwing underhand and stuff, and like a few years ago we had some guys from Argentina in there, and they were throwing about 81 miles an hour from there, and and they allow the hopping now.
What do you mean hopping?
You know how they replant the crow hop, so they can leap off the mound and land on their back foot and then let it go.
Yeah.
So like these guys from Argentina, they're throwing 81 miles an hour from about 42 feet. It feels like.
So what's
like,
the equivalent of that?
I don't know, like 110. Like
yeah,
you just kind of pick a spot and swing, And so it's like, so I don't know. No, I have no interest in doing that. I can't even think what I'd want to do. I did, a few years ago, I did that stupid physical that they did, and I had to do the cardio stress test.
Oh, I remember that.
I had a picture of me shirtless on the Seattle Times. I mean, like, that's not what I want in my life.
That wasn't a good look, but it was a great idea when you did that. I love that type of stuff.
When I was at the News Tribune, I participated in Dave Henderson's fantasy baseball camp that he had at Cheney Stadium, and I tore my UCL throwing off the mound. So I don't think that I really want to do that kind of stuff.
Hey, have you ever thrown a baseball underhand like fast pitch?
Yeah, I can do it.
And you can do it?
Yeah. Oh. It's not, a baseball is heavier, so that's why it's different. That's why puts more pressure on your arm. I don't know, like you can get hurt, like supposedly you can throw all day and not get hurt. I mean, yeah, I threw 37 innings in one day, and I couldn't even, like when I had to use the bathroom, I had to use the shower because there was no using my right arm for anything.
Well, but the recovery is better. But I always just wonder when they like, I know you were listening when we were talking about it, why they never did just go to that way of throwing the baseball, like at least pitching.
Because guys never do anything the simple way. We do everything complicated.
Yeah,
that's how we do things.
It would be so weird to watch it now and to watch these guys throwing underhand. All right, let's get to again, if you haven't seen that story that Adam did, it's up Seattle Times right now, seattletimes.com. He wrote about it. There's video up there as well. Let's get to the opening day roster you put out there. Probably not a lot of surprises, right? Rotation, we know. The bullpen is pretty much set. Where would be, I guess, some still question marks? You wrote this, and still what you wrote, what could possibly change by the time they make their final cut downs?
Yeah, like the only thing that would change in the bullpen is if like Casey Legumina is really bad in the next few outings. Like he had 2 scoreless outings. In the moment I write, he had 2 scoreless outings. He gave up a couple runs yesterday, but like it's sort of his job to lose. And same with second base. Like second base is Cole Young's to lose. Like if he plays even okay down here and plays competently, then he'll be the second baseman. If he plays really terribly and Colt Emerson plays well, then they could put Colt there, or if neither of them play exceedingly well, then maybe they piece it together with Miles Mastrobuoni and Leo Rivas. But right now, I think it's Colt's job or Cole Young's job. I think Colt will start the season in Tacoma and be ready to go when they need him.
Okay. So really that's it. That's kind of that's really the old mystery of what we see, right? And you think that Mastrobuoni, in your opinion, is not going to be the utility guy in the infield, that will go to Rivas?
Yeah, I mean, like in talking with them, they need the right-handed bat, and Rivas plays a better shortstop. They're just really they're really left-handed, and so having another lefty utility guy just doesn't really work. So, I mean, I guess they could piece it together knowing that, like, JP is going to play a lot and they have a lot of off days, and if they were really concerned about losing Mastrobuoni. But, I mean, I think that's just the price of doing business. They like him. They know he has value. He's a good player for them in that role. Great base runner too, but they just know that, like, it just doesn't fit right now. What they're hoping is like you DFA him and put him on waivers on a heavy traffic day where people are like lots of guys out there and people don't have room to make 2 and 3 claims or whatever. And that's how you kind of sneak him through and then outright him.
And then we go probably platoon situation there, right, Robles and Rayleigh, and then that same situation at DH where the 2 options would be what, Canzone and Ref Snyder?
Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of what they're looking at. I wonder if like the Braves or the Braves are going to call with Jerks and Profar out for a year. Maybe they're kind of light on outfielders if they call and see if the Mariners have anybody that they want. But that with Profar his contract is they don't have to pay him. They have some money, so they can go out and get a free agent too. Although the Braves might need to spend it on pitching as well because all their pitchers are getting hurt. So there is that possibility. I think it's pretty slim. I don't think the Mariners really want to trade off their major league roster right now. So, even if it feels crowded, because that can change in a moment. Last year, what were they, 7 games into the season, and Robles was done for 4 months. So, I don't think they're in a position where they can start moving guys off their major league roster just because they feel like it's crowded. It's a better problem to have because baseball usually happens and guys get hurt.
And this moment, you think Kisner's the backup catcher? I mean, it's not a huge investment, but they did bring Garver back on a minor league deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's $1 million. They gave Kisner $1 million. It's $1 million guaranteed. So, that's not small money to these guys. I mean, but if they put Garver on the roster, I believe it's $2.25 million. So you're eating $1 million for Kisner, and then you're adding another $2.25 million. So they may, and then the other thing is Mitch came in late. I guess we'll see quite a bit of him in the next few weeks, and they'll kind of determine. And they may ask him to go to AAA for a little while and see if he'll do that. So he can play every day. That's the one thing about playing with Cal is you don't play very much. So whether or not if that's something, they know Garver can handle it, but it's just kind of, I don't know if it's just financial, but you have 3 catchers that all have major league experience and could fit that role pretty good because that Yanni Pereira is actually probably the best hitter of the 3, in overall hitting. And he's a pretty good catcher as well.
How does it's in the paper today, JP Crawford, how is he looking at this season? It's the final year of his contract. He's been the longest tenured player on this team, kind of heartbeat, team leader inside. He's seen the good. He's seen the bad. He's also a very smart player. He sees the writing on the wall. He sees Colt Emerson. He understands that Colt Emerson is the future of this team at shortstop. I assume he's not done playing baseball, but this very well, Ryan, could be his last year in a Mariners uniform.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really, discussed it with him that much. I talked with him briefly the other day. In my story, I mentioned his daughter was there, so she was kind of, trying to get him out of there, play with her dad. So it was it was kind of quick conversation, but it's something down the road we'll discuss. But I'm sure he's aware of it. I'm sure in his mind he thinks, well, if I just play really well, maybe there's a spot for me. Do I move to second or whatever? They have 3 other infielders. If Colt is who he is and Cole plays well and they've got Donovan, I mean, that's pretty well set. I mean, a year ago, had Colt not progressed this fast, you remember Colt battled a lot of injuries for the 1 year. I think he's arrived sooner than they expected because there was a point where I thought maybe they'd give him a 1-year extension with maybe an option. But I don't know that that's the case now. And so we'll see what happens, how this goes. I mean, I think he's a realist. He understands the game. He saw what happened with Seager. He saw what happened with other guys. So even with Suarez this last year. So I'm sure he'll find a job somewhere. I mean, it seems like he'd be a perfect fit for the Angels, honestly, because they kind of do that with guys that are in their 30s. So I don't know. I didn't bring it up with him just because it didn't feel his time and place. Down the road when we get to the middle of the season or something, I probably
What was the shoulder? Was that something that happened in camp or something in the offseason?
Yeah, he just got a sore shoulder from throwing a lot because they throw so much, and you're doing a lot of infield, and they were doing, throws. They were working on cutoff throws and a lot of stuff. Just got a sore shoulder, and I think it gets because he bats left-handed, throws right-handed. It's the back shoulder, or it's the front shoulder when he hits left-handed, so you kind of put some pressure on it there. So it was just sore. I mean, I don't think it. Like he said in the season, he could have played through it, but they didn't want it to get worse, so he just kind of shut it down.
Okay. Well, we'll be reading all of your work, Seattle Times, seattletimes.com. Ryan Divish with us every week. Inside Pitch brought to you by Chalet Bowl. And you got it, the live audience and the Daily Puck drop audience, they got it for free. All right. How about that? That extra little bonus for you, and you wowed them with all of your baseball knowledge.
Yeah,
you really did, and I'm
glad that we could. Thimble.
Yeah, and I'm glad we could reconnect. All right, you're the best. Check out all his work there again at the Seattle Times, seattletimes.com. Thanks, Dev.
Yep, no problem.